during the summer between my senior year of high school and my freshman year of college, I had a nightmare. I had a dream that I went to hell and I saw my family put on this giant wheel. Like they were shackled against this giant wheel. Like flat wheel, like kind of like the Wheel of Fortune wheel, you know, like a flat wheel that can turn. And they were kind of shackled onto this wheel, like my intermediate family, like my parents and things in the middle, and then my extended family all on the outside. I believed that this dream was kind of in a way telling me that the difference between all of my family going to hell and all of my family going to heaven was me. I felt like it summed up how important it was, and the reason why I had passion and remembered this dream so clearly was because God was encouraging me to try to reach out to my family more. Now, most of my family is Christian, especially my extended family, but they weren't Pentecostal. They weren't Pentecostal like I was, and they didn't follow the plan of salvation like my church preached. So it didn't matter that they believed in Christ or whatever. I still was told that they were going to hell, and I still believed that they were going to hell. And I mean, how can you not be bothered by that? It was a hard thing for me to deal with. The problem was, my parents were pretty good about me going to church. My mom was a little weird about the external things. But they were very open, minus a comment here and there. But they said I was old enough to make my decision, but they made one stipulation. I was not allowed to proselytize. And that was a tough rule for me to follow because I felt like I had found the truth, and you know, I needed it, so they needed it. And I spent a lot of time praying for my family to kind of change their mind on this. You know, I felt that God could touch their hearts, at least in the way of, you know, maybe opening themselves to listening to me. I used to, when they weren't home, walk around the house praying that, you know, any spirits that were, you know, keeping their heart closed would be taken away, and but they didn't know any of this. It was all a secret. You know, they never knew how much it bothered me. I really put on a face, a happy face, pretend like it doesn't bother me face about it. I kind of played the part of being more open than I was. To this day, my parents still think that that I'm happy all the time act that I put on so that they would want to go to church was actually genuine. I was happy a lot, but I was not happy all the time like I pretended to be. I did not have this miraculous, suddenly all my problems are gone like they thought I did, because I wanted them to think that, because I wanted them to come to my church. So I really used this technique to try to convince them, and I wish I could say that the church didn't encourage you to sort of pretend to be happy, but they did. They didn't say pretend to be happy. They said, if you're saved, you shouldn't be moping all the time. And even if you're sad, you should still be a witness to people and show and put on a smile until God fixes it. You know, they put it in ways where it didn't sound like they were saying, hey, pretend to be happy, but they were a lot of times. So I did this. I was very smiles in front of my parents and smiles in front of my family all the time to try to win them over with my character. Around this time, I had such a hard time dealing with it that I found myself kind of justifying reasons why certain people were going to hell. You know, like if I witnessed to somebody, or I sort of tried to start talking about that and they shut me down, you know, it became their fault and not my fault and not God's fault. You know, their heart isn't open, so that's their fault. They're not ready to hear it. They're not willing vessels. All these phrases are really used, soft ways of saying you're not doing it right. It's painful believing that people you care about are going to hell, and it's painful to believe a God that you think is all good could let good people go to hell. It's something that I couldn't accept. I couldn't accept it, at least not very well. And so I did, like many people, start to find faults in people to try to blame them instead of God. You know, you believe in an all-good God. You believe God's done all these great things in your life. You believe that God has saved you. Then why hasn't it done it for other people? And if you really believe that God can do that for anyone, that God is all good, that God wills everyone to have that, and other people don't have that, then you kind of start having to blame the people. I don't see any other way. And in order for me to hold on to my own beliefs that were really important to me, I sort of had to start blaming my family mentally. I still cared about them. I still really loved them. I felt like they brought me down spiritually a lot of times because I felt uncomfortable with them. And I never ever cut off my family. I never did anything like that. They didn't even know that I was struggling with this. I kept it all to myself. I always felt like I had to guard myself when I was around them. I felt like I had to put up a wall. I always felt like that to some degree because they're my family, but more so